Hey everyone, it's Eric from Founders Beta. I'm so delighted to be here with Drop. So thank you so much for joining today. So today we're going to dive into talking about engineering roles here and what's it like to work at Drop. So let's get started. So maybe Ian, would you be able to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about Drop?
Sure. My name's Ian. I've been at Drop for about 2 years. My current role, I'm the Vice President of Engineering. So I lead the team, I scale the team, and work with engineers closely. Prior to Drop, I come from Airbnb, where I also held similar roles. In the early days, I've also done financial engineering as an engineer, so I'm very much software engineer background.
Awesome, great. And Ivan, what about you? Tell us about your role.
Sure. My name is Ivan. I'm a back-end engineer at Drop. I'm a relatively early employee. I was number 7. This is my first engineering role. Prior to this, I was working in predominantly online marketing roles in London, UK. I did a boot camp and moved to Toronto after that and landed at Drop. So it's been a kind of a really interesting journey joining as number 7 and seeing us at about 60 people now.
Awesome. Number 7 must be very early, right?
So yes, yeah, the office was about the size of this room, so it was a very different atmosphere,
awesome.
But it's been a good journey.
Great. So let's talk about your hiring and giving some tips for our audience. What gets the call on the resume? Like, what are some elements you look for specifically?
For me, first and foremost, it's really experience. Mm-hmm. So experience, whether that's industry experience or project experience.
Right.
When I read resumes, it's really important that candidates do a good effort in highlighting what that experience is and really understanding the projects.
Right.
So even if it's industry experience, what I really like to know is what projects have you built, what teams have you worked with.
Mm-hmm.
So experience really is the thing that sticks out for me.
Okay, great. And what about things like, do you look at like hackathon experience, like maybe side projects they've done on weekends? Would those count? Yeah.
Absolutely, a hackathon experience, weekend projects. For me, it's really about learning the drive of an individual. Mm-hmm. So for example, with a hackathon, it's less important to know that you've won the entire hackathon. Mm-hmm. Definitely that's a plus or a bonus, but just participating in a hackathon and in your resume or online doing a really good job in describing what you've built goes way longer.
Right.
And so again, it goes back to that experience and what project someone is working on.
Awesome. What about things like maybe GitHub, like any tips on like even their online personal portfolio, like any tips that might be useful you come across?
So I don't really review the applications as they come in, but once we get to the interview stage, I definitely look at kind of the CV, the LinkedIn profile, GitHub. It's kind of conversation points that you want to pick up on and speak to the candidate about. So it is important for the candidate to highlight that, and then it kind of gives the interviewer ammunition and conversation points once you come into the room.
Great.
So I'll add 2 things to that actually.
Sure.
So for people's personal GitHub, for me in reviewing candidates, I actually do click into people's GitHub. Mm-hmm. Ideally look at the code that they produce, the comments that they're adding, the pull requests. When it comes to personal websites, what I really like is when people create interactive demos of what they've built. And I know that tends to require a bit more effort, but for me in reviewing candidates, it makes it really easy so I can understand the project instead of diving into the details. I will do that, but it makes it so much more convenient if you make it interactive.
Right. And for the personal, going back to personal websites, do you recommend the developer to build something from scratch or use existing frameworks, or any ideas on that maybe?
I mean, if you build something from scratch, then it's certainly more impressive.
More ideal, right?
And so that's kind of I guess that does get the plus, but I think it is more about, for me at least, just communicating the projects you've worked on and kind of your involvement in those.
Right.
That can be done through a website from scratch or kind of some platform.
Because I think communicating your story and your project and showcasing that would be like the ideal, right? Okay, awesome, great. Let's talk about, let's say I got the call and, you call me, I'm coming in for an interview, right? What should I prepare? Any tips for these kinds of interviews?
So I deal with the technical interview, and part of that is an in-person coding test. Mm-hmm. It's a relatively simple problem, and again, similar to kind of Ian's comment on the hackathon, it's not whether you won the hackathon, it's not really about solving the problem, it's more about how you kind of interact with us, the questions you ask, how you kind of respond to our prompts and kind of take that prompt and take it to the next level. So kind of those, you can practice kind of these, practice with your colleagues or with your friends who are also developers, just going through these kind of coding challenges and just talking to each other, just to get used to speaking your mind. That's one tip for our interview practice.
Right. Yeah, my main tip would be mostly around communication, as simple and obvious as it sounds. So as an engineer, it's definitely important to review your algorithms, practice actually coding. But if you put yourself in the shoes of the interviewer, so like myself, either if I'm in a phone call or in an in-person interviewer, I really want the candidate to communicate clearly and articulate themselves.
Right.
So if we work through different problems, ideally you're not just sitting there for 5 minutes thinking through the problem and solving it accurately. What the level up on that is that you're actually sharing your thought process and communicating.
Right.
And I would say in preparation, it's like definitely table stakes is, get your technical skills in order, but then the real goal is to communicate, because at the end of the day for us as interviewers, we're trying to learn more about candidates, and the ones that stand out are the ones that really do a good job in describing their thought process, how they are approaching problems.
Great, yeah. So are there any other like soft skills that you potentially look for like during the interview maybe?
I think that there's this aspect of exuding some level of confidence, and that's shown in your body language, just your general orientation,
True.
just a general level of energy. For Drop, it's really important that we find people that are not only passionate about the project, but passionate about working with other people. And a big part of that is in how you come off in your overall body posture and attention.
Okay, awesome, great. Yeah, let's talk about, this is probably very exciting for our audience, talking about, technologies. So, so maybe talk about what you currently use, or, what's exciting about the tech stack.
Yeah, so our tech stack, actually right before I jump into the tech stack, let me quickly describe what Drop is, because I think we forgot to mention that. So at Drop, we build a mobile rewards platform, and what we do is intelligently surface offers and brands for our users. And so at Drop, we partner with over 300 brands, and we utilize machine learning that leverages that data to really make the lives of our consumers better. And so what we build is a lifestyle app that provides as many rewards as possible to you in your daily life as you spend. So going back to the actual tech stack, since we're a mobile app, what we use is React Native, as well as TypeScript, Redux Sagas. So what you'll notice is that we have a mobile app. We're not building natively, we're using technologies like React Native. For places that we build on web, mainly the website that you see, joindrop.com, as well we have a Google Chrome plugin that's in beta. Those are built in React. So on the front end, you're seeing a lot of React or React Native. If you go deeper into the stack in the back end, everything is running on Amazon AWS and RDS. So our main application on the back end, our APIs, they're built in Ruby on Rails. That all sits on top of a Postgres transactional database. So that's our main stack for the most part. We do have a data warehouse, because for Drop, a key differentiator and how we really surface offers is through the data that we process. So going deeper into the stack, we have what's known as a ETL pipeline, exchange transform load, or extract transform load, which is written in Python. We also use Airflow, which is open sourced by Airbnb. The data warehouse itself is in Redshift. We also use S3 as our data lake, and our machine learning pipelines are also built in Python using several open source machine learning pipelines.
Great.
One comment. So building upon, we have a Postgres database, and Ian mentioned kind of we have a large kind of volume of transactions. We have an interesting problem which we've highlighted in a recent blog post, where we ran out of space in one of our database tables, and we had to kind of come up with an innovative workaround to that. So if users are interested in kind of how we're using Postgres and some of the problems we face, you can head over to our engineering blog and read an article written by one of my colleagues, Harsh, who explained the problem that we face and the kind of I think it was quite an innovative workaround that he kind of wrote.
Oh, that's great. Now, what programming languages would that be? Like those languages that you look for in the applicant, or are there any specific languages you look for? Yeah,
so actually a key part of our interview process is that we don't expect any knowledge whatsoever in the tech that we use. So I know when Eric, you asked me about our tech stack, I mentioned a lot of technologies, and it might seem intimidating to some that are new, but actually when we interview candidates, there is no expectation, and the reason why is that when we're building our engineering team, we see having a very diverse set of people on our team from different engineering backgrounds, whether it's building in JavaScript, Java, Python, just any language for that matter. So when we interview, we allow candidates to code in the language that they choose.
Right.
When someone joins and onboards in their first month, we invest time in ramping them up. So, pairing them with a new hire engineering buddy, going through in the first couple of weeks, just like, Ruby on Rails tutorials. So for us, it's less important to have a perfect match in language knowledge, but more so just like, what's more important is the overall foundations of programming and being able to solve problems and build the right solutions.
Great. So I guess when they come on board, there's quite a bit of training involved, right? Like
there is, yes. I mean, we invested quite a bit already in documentation, and like I mentioned before, we match everyone with a new hire buddy, and we make sure that ahead of that new person joining, new hire buddies dedicate enough time in their day so that it's not just us paying lip service to you having a new hire buddy. You actually have someone that's dedicated day to day, well into the first month that you're here.
Oh, that's so important too, right? Because you want to have them get onboarded well, but also like I think for them it's great because maybe they're not familiar with all these technologies, right?
Yes.
So a great way to dive in. Awesome. So let's talk about this. One of my favorite questions. What's it like to work at Drop? What gets you excited? Because when I come into the office, like the energy is phenomenal here, and you can definitely feel the vibe. Talk about what do you like?
I genuinely enjoy coming into work every day. It's a great atmosphere, great culture. Everyone gets along. I live in Brampton, so it's kind of an hour and a half commute, but it's worthwhile for me to come into the office and you get really energized to come into work. It's a very open culture. Everyone is happy to teach each other. There's no kind of idea of, please come back to me later. If you have a problem, then everyone is very open and receptive to kind of teaching and learning from each other. That's one of the main kind of traits of our culture, that learning environment.
Yeah, I would say for me that the main things really are that it's a fun environment and one that's high in collaboration.
Right.
So, what we very pride ourselves on with ourselves and also when we interview externally, it's like people that work well with the team. We believe that the best ideas come from anywhere.
Right.
And what that means is when we're working together, we want to hear, everyone's voice and opinion, and you see that day to day. Like actually just yesterday, I was in a brainstorming session with our team, product, design, engineering. I think it's really collaboration is the thing that sticks out. And I mentioned earlier, fun. We tend to have a lot of fun together. Right. We're working quite a bit together, and so it's important that we have fun while we're doing it. And you can see that a lot in our office with the elements, with what we have to do that keeps people engaged.
Great. And any perks, social gathering for team members? Talk about those.
Once in a while. So over the summer we went to Jay's game. We went to Cherry Beach for kind of the product engineering design data team. All of those teams went to the beach for the day just to kind of have some time away from the office and kind of interact on a more social level. So once a month there'll be some excursion that we will go on. Perks, there's
I can help list out some. So in terms of perks, Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays we have in-office catered lunches.
Oh, nice.
So it's a great time for everyone to really eat together in the office, and it's a great perk.
Right.
In general.
For sure, absolutely.
Ivan already mentioned a lot of the team outings that we have. So what we like to do is, not always have outings that are focused on just drinking. We do things that are active, culinary. Like we've done like axe throwing in the past.
Okay, right.
Cool. We have this tradition called Drop Thursdays, and it'll change up from time to time. But like the recent one, we were playing board games in office.
Oh, nice.
And so we really spend time to not just work together but play together, and do so in a really fun fashion around the area that we're in Toronto.
Great. Let's talk about your current hiring needs, or maybe in the future. What are you currently hiring for, and where can our audience learn more?
Definitely. So actually recently at Drop we've closed our Series B round. And so it was led by Hoff Capital year to date. So Drop's been around for 4 years. In aggregate, we've raised around $71 million US. Oh
wow,
impressive. Thanks. And the reason why I bring that up is given that we recently closed our Series B round, we're really looking to grow. grow in our product, and definitely grow in team.
Right.
And so the priorities right now, we have a lot of roles open within engineering. That's both in product development, feature development, but also infrastructure and data.
Right.
So across all of those roles we're hiring, as I mentioned earlier, we're not looking for a particular programming language expertise.
Right.
Added to that, so that the actual roles, it's a combination of front-end roles, back-end roles, full stack. So the way that works is on our team, we have several members that specialize in front-end, or the back-end,
Right.
or people that are also full stack. So all of those roles are open today. What's really important to us is that we get to meet candidates, get to learn about their skill sets, and wherever that lies in the front end, back end, or full stack, we have conversations. And this is where, for myself as hiring manager, I have conversations with candidates on best fits for teams. And so all of those roles are open. I would say it's really across the entire range of junior, mid, senior experience.
Great. And do you hire for obviously I know you do, but how does your schedule look like for co-ops, interns? Is there a particular time you particularly look to bring on people?
We do. So last co-op season we did have 2 interns.
Oh, okay.
Actually, since this quarter's been quite busy for us, for everyone, so we've paused for just this one quarter. But starting January 2020. Right. We're looking to hire additional interns. Actually, right. Ivan was one of the intern managers. Feel free to share.
Oh yeah,
we had a co-op student from Waterloo, so we had a round of interviews about March time, speaking with maybe 10, 12 candidates, and another colleague of mine had another sort of 10, 12 candidates, and we chose kind of one intern that we wanted to bring on board, and it was for me, it was a really rewarding experience, kind of having that level of that experience of mentoring someone, kind of helping them with their career, and just kind of being able to teach them and give them advice, not only from a technical perspective, but simple things about how to act in meetings and how to kind of communicate to others. It was a really rewarding experience.
For sure, and and I guess for the intern, it's such a phenomenal experience if you land an internship here, right?
We do try to make it a great experience for interns, where it's a combination of them learning, but also us giving them challenges. And so a big part of that, for example, I know that Ivan paid a lot of attention to his intern throughout the days and weeks, and making sure that closer to the midpoint of that internship, we reach this sort of capstone or milestone project, so that it's sort of an end-to-end project that the intern is owning. But we make sure we do it at a pace that's right for every different individual.
Right, great. So let's talk about what piece of advice do you have for applicants out there to kind of stand out and
So I can speak to my own experience when I did a boot camp and was looking to land my first engineering role, and I found that the kind of sweet spots are the very small companies, which Drop was at the time, where the team has kind of the capacity to absorb you and kind of give you that one-to-one or that relatively close mentoring, or it's going to be a larger company which has the processes in place to kind of take on a relatively new grad. So I would, if you're a new bootcamp grad or kind of just looking for your first job, I think my piece of advice would be to focus on the smaller companies where you can kind of build a very close relationship with a mentor there and kind of accelerate through your learning path there, or you can go into a more established company that has kind of the processes and resources to help you on that journey.
Great. Any other tips?
Totally. I'd say I have 2 main tips, main pieces of advice. One is, as a candidate for any company that you consider joining, it's really important to have an understanding of the product.
Right.
And it sounds obvious, but at times I find that candidates haven't even downloaded the app. And I think downloading the app is just the first step. It's actually logging into the app, signing up, and using the features day to day. So that is really, really important, because as you interview with the company and the team, what you want to do is start sharing your ideas about how the product can be better.
Right.
And so what that builds is a really understanding of the product, but also starting to build up a passion for what we're doing. Because any company that you join, you really want to care a lot about the product and have an understanding. And so at the get-go, it's really important to do that. So that's the main piece of advice. Right. The second piece of advice, I would say, there's a lot that I could share. I think looking for opportunities isn't just about the company, it's also about the team.
Right.
So LinkedIn is actually a really great tool to do research on a company. So if you, for example, just look up Drop, click on people, you'll see everyone that's there. Spending even 10 minutes of research of who are the people there, for other engineers on the team, what are their backgrounds. As a new candidate, you want to know that you're joining a team of people that you can learn from. And you know, for example, we have people at Drop that come from Airbnb, myself. There's Amazon, Ritual, Goldman Sachs, and all this you can quickly look up yourself. So both passion for the product as well as learning about the team is really important.
I think that's an excellent point, because you want to get to know the product, right? So you have a bit more insight, give the company a bit of feedback too, right? Yes. And I heard some companies actually, you know, they say that in the application, right? It's like, oh, try our product, but it makes sense, right? So
yes.
Yeah, great. Well, Ian and Ivan, thank you so much for joining today.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure, and yeah, we look forward to helping you connect with our audience. And for our audience, on foundersbeta.com, check out Drop, get the app. You know, lots of rewards, right? So, so yeah, and we look forward to seeing you guys again. Cheers. Bye.